Hello, my name is Sam Thompson, and I'm doing a presentation about school security titled Protecting Our Future. And I think it's really important in our day and age to have this discussion. Currently, I am the Director of Operations at Crosstown High School, which is located in the Crosstown Concourse Building in Memphis, Tennessee. School security has been on my mind a lot lately, especially with the way the world has been going, the traumatic events that have happened in our schools, around our region, around our country. And this is a topic that I thought was very important to dive into a little bit, gain a better understanding, and just get a really good idea of what we want to achieve moving forward. So, safeguarding our students' future, it's so important in our schools to create a safe environment for student achievement and student success. It's paramount in learning. If students are attending school and there's any form of threat or any nervousness or any anxiety of potential threats, learning is going to be diminished. And so it's creating a culture where students, where faculty, where teachers, where parents are all on the same page when it comes to student safety, creating a culture of safety and putting the right resources, the right action plans in place in order for the school to be a space where students can come into and feel comfortable. Currently, if you look down, one of the resources I have is Tennessee.gov. Recently, there was legislation passed called the Safe Schools Act, where funding is going to be provided on a much more broad scale, a larger scale across the state of Tennessee for school security improvements. Looking through this document, I was able to find there's going to be a lot of resources that my school and then also schools in our area are going to be able to tap into in order to make our schools safer and our learning environments more productive. This is an interesting statistic and graph that I found during this presentation process that according to the school pulse survey, there were more people felt prepared in dealing with a pandemic, which happens never, um, rarely ever happens. Obviously, COVID-19 hit us that way, and now teachers feel prepared. But if you look at all of the other emergency management protocols that are listed, teachers do not feel very prepared when it comes to significant threats or events, traumatic events that can happen in a school space that could lead to trauma, injury, and some really negative consequences. I found this really, really interesting. Data shows that there's a dramatic rise in school security events over the years. This graph from the chds.us shows just the simple threat of an active shooter, the dramatic increase over years where those have been present inside of our schools. Things are coming to light from bullying, social media, technology, um, buildings having unauthorized access points, um, school shooters that are either forced entry or students that are experiencing trauma or mental health issues that are inside of our schools already that are putting our schools at a threat. So comprehensive measures are needed. It's not just unpropping doors, making sure that all of our doors are locked when we leave. It comes on multiple levels, whether it's school communication, whether it's student support systems that we put into place, whether it's making sure that we have cameras that are put into the right spots. There's multiple levels, and moving forward, we're going to talk about a couple of those. So physical security measures are really important. When most people think of school security, these are the first things they think of in making sure that students are safe. Every year, one of the things that I've been able to do, and this is a resource that I put into this presentation, the Department of Education for Tennessee, it is state law to have an annual school security assessment that is done by the principal or building admin in that distinguished area for them to conduct a assessment of the entire school building, all of the physical threats with a police officer for that designated area. For instance, a couple weeks ago, I was able to walk around our school building with a Memphis police officer. We identified possible target areas. We were able to receive feedback, receive some recommendations by the police officer so that we can improve our facilities to make sure that they are more secure. And then also leaning into that police officer's experience and looking at hotspots or areas that we need to have better tabs on to make sure that students are safe. This is a neat tool. I think it's a meaningful tool. It's a necessary tool um, that schools need to really utilize, and not only utilize, but go through the process and make it meaningful. I think a lot of times these walkthroughs happen and say like, "Oh, it's okay," and then we move on, and we don't really identify any threats or any possible hot spots that could lead to potential problems. So in our school, I think that one thing that we do really, really well is use that feedback. I put Exemplar Crosstown High. At the beginning of this process, when we first opened, we were a level 3 security threat simply based on a lot of unknowns. It's a lot of being in a public building. It's a lot of being in spaces where, um, has access to a lot of public. And over time, we have really been able to take some of the recommendations by MPD, by the Emergency Management Office at SCS, to make sure that we are really secure, and that threat level has actually gone down. The second line of security and training that needs to happen is staff training. Our school staff are the first line of defense in the event of an emergency situation. If you are wanting your emergency situations and protocols to go off and for students to be as safe as possible, staff must be properly trained and they must be comprehensively trained. This means including law enforcement, making sure that they're brought in. We have building security that we work with closely. They come into our school buildings so that teachers know who they are, they know who to contact. And then lastly, all of our teachers go through the comprehensive emergency response training. So individually, there are specific response procedures for every single type of emergency that could possibly happen: tornado, intruder, earthquake, etc. One resource that I found is schoolsafety.gov. This is a really great resource that you can tap into to find different ways to properly train staff, and then also some documents that are good to provide to parents as well. One thing that's been really great over time is that we've been introduced to technology and being able to enhance school security with the use of technology, um, whether that's cameras, whether that is the ability to use metal detectors. All of those measures are really, really important. And there's a lot of research and data about the effectiveness of technology in action. We utilize cameras all over our space. We utilize cameras upon entry so that we can make sure that we see who is entering our building. We're able to really make sure that we use, those data points or that technology to create data points so where we know what areas are hotspots or what areas are places that we need to consider all the time. Lastly, and I think this is a really, really important one for our school, is creating a safe culture. So we talk a lot about teacher preparation. We talk a lot about staff preparation, parent preparation. And then one of the most paramount things that we need to do is cultivate a culture of safety and secure learning environment for our students. So that means having students buy into the fact that they know that their school is a safe place, making sure that they know the way to move whenever a possible threat happens, being able to see something, say something. There's so many things that are beneficial to having students on board. Um, these are like some interesting data points that I found. Firearms used in about 68% of gun related incidents at schools, were taken from a home, a friend, or a relative. So being able to know students and know them well allows us to try to mitigate, tries to allow us to have conversations, allows us to know which students need extra support or need some extra guidance. And then in 2019, about 22% of students ages 12 to 18 reported being bullied at school. This number is way too high. And so creating a culture, whether there is a zero tolerance for bullying, there's zero tolerance for social media abuse, there's zero tolerance for hazing inside of schools, is extremely important to where students can come and know that I feel safe. Just to wrap up, clearly this is a topic that I find extremely important. There's tons of data to support the fact that we really need to enhance security measures and really be intentional with the way that we do those. Um, but I think the most important way for us to be successful in keeping our students safe is using a multifaceted approach with using technology, with using physical barriers, with using student support systems, and with using parent communication and staff training. That will help us create an all-in culture to keep students safe. These are my references. Thank you for listening to my presentation. Have a great rest of your day.